Well, just to catch up you, Shri, yesterday we talked about, it's not that, I mean, we are a little bit in love with Mehdi Hasan, but it's not for that reason. We talked about.
This is a Mehdi Hasan Stan channel now. Rebrand.
He is, we had him talking with Sarah Palin and Destiny on Piers Morgan yesterday. Chewy's decided to turn his camera off for some reason. That's fantastic. And he decided to drop out altogether, so he'll come back. This is the conspiracy theorist. See, we're pushing Chewy out. That's what we're up to. There you go. Chewy's gone. And so there was another thing with Mehdi purely by chance over the weekend when he was on a panel on. You thought you'd come back. You thought you'd come back. Is that your key binding again? Push the wrong one.
Too many tabs.
Yes. And then he was on again. And first of all, I apologize about the quality of this video. I'm not going to give you full screen because that's how terrible the full screen footage is. So we're just going to keep it down as a little window. I know. And it's really weird, actually. This is a huge story all over the world. I couldn't find the video anywhere on CNN. Like the whole video. I wanted the whole video. Couldn't find that anywhere.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, true, actually. Good point. Good point. So Mehdi Hasan is on with a guy called Ryan Girdusky, who I don't know very much about. And they have an interaction, and Ryan Girdusky basically throws out an incredibly inappropriate, racist, not just trope, but offensive message straight at the Muslim man sitting just opposite him. Let's have a bit of a look at what was said in the panel.
Don't want to be called Nazis. Stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me, I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. So I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is.
So that was the gist of it. I'm a supporter of the Palestinian people. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. I've just paused it because some people may have missed it, and now we'll continue on. We'll go back and listen again. I'm a supporter of the Palestinian people. I hope your beeper don't go off, which obviously is connected to in Lebanon, the pages blowing up of Hezbollah because they were all terrorists, other than like the little girl who got killed and the driver who got. But you know, that's what they were saying. So we'll just play it through now to the end.
Palestinians, I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should die?
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed? On live TV.
I said I hope
Guys,
you.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Of Hamas.
Guys, let me
said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person?
So the guest, Girdusky, was saying, but you said you supported Hamas, which you clearly didn't, and there can be no way that anyone's heard that the wrong way. And this is weasel words coming out now. He's realised he has crossed this line that some in American politics think is ways away. He's even gone over that line, and he's backtracking massively.
No, of course I'm not.
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against
Ryan,
That's disgusting.
that is completely.
I apologize.
Good job, CNN. Let's have first block say the Muslim guy should be blown up.
I apologize.
On TV.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
I thought you said Hamas. I
You didn't think I said Hamas. I said I supported Palestinian rights.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny is Rudy Giuliani said this yesterday, so you're a great guest to be here to defend Rudy Giuliani.
I wasn't going to entertain nonsense today, and so at this point,
this is what we're in now. This is America in 2024.
Here's what I will say.
Forget the racism.
That's right.
It's I should die.
I didn't say that. You
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your fake
I did not say you should die.
Why did you say with my beeper go?
What did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper? What did you mean by the beeper? No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper.
I mean, it's hard to argue that we don't want agencies to go with if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, that's pretty compelling to watch, you know, and that's kind of the worst of if it bleeds, it leads.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least have the guts to support your racist comment.
Hang on.
I'm so sorry.
Gotta bring it back.
This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us Nazis, but I'm going to threaten the brown guy as a terrorist and kill him.
There you go. Well, I've got a couple of follow-ups from that, but first of all, you are the guest, Cherie. Would you like to speak to that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I was looking at it today, I was looking through on TikTok as well to see what sort of commentary was around there too. Yeah, really interesting. And you were mentioning before as well about looking at how they book guests and sort of people that they bring on. I can't imagine what it would have been like being the other panelists or the producer standing there thinking, "Oh, how do we reel this in?" Yeah. I mean, it's not good. Like, it's not a great thing to have happened. And obviously, there's been a huge sort of essentially like blowout in the aftermath of everything playing out since that happened. But it is a tricky one because, I mean, CNN's obviously got a huge amount of content out of it in that sense, but I don't know. They can't be too happy about it.
If you go onto Twitter right now, and I think I might have opened a particular, let me see if I've still got it, and you look up CNN and the word vetting, I've shut the tab down, but if you look up the word CNN and vetting, there is so much information about who the fuck, how do they vet these people? You know, how can the most trusted name in news let this kind of person through? Chewy, you can jump in next, but let me just play the second part of it because they went to a break, and I'm playing this off the Hill's channel because they had it highlighted. So we'll watch the Hill showing us what it is. They came back. Abby Phillips, I think her name is Abby Phillips, who was the host of that CNN show. They kicked the guest off. So Ryan Girdusky, whatever his name is, he's gone, and this is what they said after the break.
I want to just address what happened in the last segment. And first, I want to apologize to Mehdi Hasan for what was said at this table. It was completely unacceptable. When we get this discussion started, you'll see that Ryan is not at the table. There is a line that was crossed there, and it's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to us at this network. We want discussion. We want people who disagree with each other to talk to each other. But when you cross the line of a complete lack of civility, that is not going to happen here on this show.
There we go. We won't play any more of the Hill. So Chewy, you jump in and tell us your thoughts as well.
I'm just thinking that when you mentioned it, obviously there'd be a producer or someone off in a control room somewhere frantically looking to see what's closer, the fire alarm or the circuit breaker for the entire studio. You know, just like, oh shit, what's going on? I cannot believe that is something that happens. It just seemed like it was an internet comment thread come to life.
Yeah.
Great way to put it.
I'm going to put this cheap shot in about his beeper going off, and look very, very clever. And then not to have it immediately recognized for exactly what it is. And his only defense was like, I didn't actually say that I wanted you to die. I didn't go that far. I just said for some reason, if you remove it completely from its context, that your beeper doesn't go off. That's not a threat. And everybody could see it happening live that it wasn't working and Mehdi wasn't going to let it go.
Oh, and who better to respond but Mehdi Hasan? Even if it wasn't about him, he does this thing so well.
Yeah.
I'll show you what happened next. So Ryan James Girdusky got home, probably spoke to his management, and he thought he'd put this tweet out. You can stay on CNN if you falsely call every Republican a Nazi and have taken money from Qatar-funded media. This is where you say you arsehole, Joe. You can say that now if you want.
You arsehole.
Apparently, you can't go on CNN if you make a joke.
Oh, please.
I'm glad America gets to see what CNN stands for. Francesca Florentini, who is a streamer over there and a comedian, says, yes, you even followed normal joke structure by apologizing profusely after the punchline. There is another comedian here. I don't know this comedian, but they've got, 400,000 followers, who says, yep, take it from me, a professional comedian. This is the standard look after someone makes a joke. And this is obviously within hours, certainly the next day, from the Tony Hinchcliffe conversation going on at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. Any thoughts, Sheree?
What was that? Sorry,
any thoughts
on that tweet? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah. On the follow-up, the fallout, and the defense by this person of I was just telling a joke.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty desperate far reach to try and say, oh, it was just a joke. I mean, clearly, as you say, the facial expression kind of says it all, right?
Yeah.
That screenshot's great. That instant regret or that moment that you realize you've said something you probably shouldn't have said. But yeah, like I loved what you're saying before, Chewy, about, I don't know if the producers were looking for the fire alarm first or how to start it or how to get out of that situation. But it very much did seem like a bit of like a thread that was just unraveling. And yeah, I don't know if he just forgot that he was on live television or where he was for the moment, but you let something like that slip and you could see the instant reaction.
Or this is acceptable political discourse in American society, but he accidentally said the quiet thing out loud in front of a camera. Is this where the Americans are at with their discourse? Most people just have a little bit more nuance to not allow it to be shown to 100,000, 1 million people in front of a camera. Is that what we're looking at?
No, that's a really good point. And I think possibly, yeah, like it could have just been one of those things that, as you say, like something that didn't need to be said out loud, that it may have been a thought that happened and then he realized that that probably wasn't the appropriate thing to say, or but yeah, I think possibly, yeah, I think that it could be potentially, you're right there, that it could be one of those things that, you know, is actually the thought pattern there.
The other thing about this conversation I want to just highlight and bring, this is kind of wrapping up the whole conversation around media in 2024, is how did that fucker get on that panel? Like, if you look up his name, you will see him hanging out with Proud Boys. You will see all sorts of connections he's got to JD Vance. You know, like it's clear. So how did that person make it onto that stage? And you said earlier, Cherie, about newsrooms getting smaller. That also, you think about that when you're going to vet people, getting smaller, spending less hours making sure this person is safe or appropriate or the best person you can find, as opposed to, oh, yep, we'll tick that box. There's a guy called Matthew Sheffield. I don't know anything about him, but his Twitter feed has been going around the interwebs in the last wee while. And I'll just read through it, right? CNN just removed far-right panelist for a racist remark against progressive commentator Mehdi Hasan. This was the right decision, but as a former TV booker, what happened is part of a much bigger problem. Before going independent, I used to be a producer at The Hill, which is the footage we were just showing, on its Rising program. Like all mainstream media shows, we were constantly trying to have balanced panel discussions, but we always have a problem. It was very difficult to find Republicans who weren't crazy. Frequently, my colleagues would book right-wing commentators, and as someone who'd come out of conservative media, I often had to review them before they were put on air. More than a few times, people who were alt-right activists were booked before I removed them. Other times, we couldn't find anyone who actually was qualified to talk about the news on the day in a non-frothing manner. We had people offered who had made racist remarks, people who had stalked women, etc. The Republican media, meanwhile, make zero attempts at balance. We also had several commentators who had expressed Christian supremacist ideas, which meant, of course, they couldn't possibly add anything useful on Israel or Islam. This is what happened to the very long-suffering Abby Phillip tonight. Thread goes on, as you can see, but that's a bit of a snapshot, I guess, into someone whose job it is to vet the media. And I promised last night that I would tell you the story. I have sat in the News Talk ZB newsroom and I've heard, we need someone to comment on this story, like a crazy conservative Christian dude or dudette. Who can we get? Anyone want to guess the name that comes up immediately? Bob McCoskey.
Yeah.
Bob McCoskey. So the media will use Bob McCoskey, certainly in the past, because they wanted a lunatic conservative Christian commentator. I've heard it, I've said it, I've seen it going on. So these things aren't just at big American television networks, they're everywhere. But maybe this is the moment where the producers of the show go, either maybe we need to vet a bit better, or maybe we shouldn't put the American version of the crazy conservative Christian up to make comment. Chewie, you've been quiet up there. Any thoughts to wrap up?
Look, I think one of the issues here when they had these panel shows is, I guess, this weird sense for balance, right? Is you obviously want to have a balanced story, but sometimes these topics that they cover, like I always come back to, say, climate change or vaccination stuff is that you get one person that says yes, it's real and we should do something about it, and for balance we have someone else, and that almost puts those two opinions on an equal standing.
Yeah.
When it should be like, well, let's get 9 people to say that climate change is real and an existential threat, and then we'll get the one dude that thinks it's a Jewish conspiracy, would probably be a better way to do it. Well, it wouldn't be a better way to do it, but it would be a fairer way to do it. And I think what happened here with the CNN thing is this guy just has come straight out of his own Twitter echo chamber, thinking he's the king shit and can just say the nastiest stuff ever, and realizes that he's not online anymore. Like we had, when was that story that we had where they were talking about what is it, the cost of living and that sort of thing, and they had the guy that was a builder, and you dug in a little bit on who he was. And
the guy
that
who we
was
called
like
the guy that we called the fat Duncan Garner, that guy.
Yes.
With the slick back here. That was TV3. And he was a National Party operative. So
that's
TV3 put him up as a builder. Right?
Yeah. With no context or that sort of thing. And I think that's the whole thing, is that we want to hear comments from ordinary people, but ordinary people don't have direct links to news organizations and can turn up within a half hour to be on a digital filmed bit or a talking head show or whatever. It's people that are connected in some way.
I'm also interested, Cherie, want to get your thoughts on what we've just read out, but as Chewy's talking, it makes me think, how often do reporters go, I know someone in that industry, I'll just get the person I know? Because that's easy to go and film someone, even if they're a mate or a colleague or a friend of a friend, you know them, so you go and get them. That kind of thing happened pretty often. And also, what are your thoughts about the booker and his story he just told?
Yeah, no, it does happen. And even myself as a reporter, there'd be a lot of times where maybe you've worked with someone in a certain industry for a previous story, and now you've got something similar. So it's just easier often to go back to that person and go, hey, we've worked together before, you know how this works. Can you come in and do a quick interview? Mostly that would be because you're under pretty tight deadlines and you kind of have to turn stuff around pretty quickly, as you were saying before about often you might want like an everyday person to be able to talk to, but they don't always have the right connection or be available or want to do that kind of thing. So that is often what happens. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of cases where we would find someone to speak to something because we know it would fit the angle of the story or the news clip or whatever it is, for that bulletin, for instance. It does happen quite a bit. And I think it is really interesting when you watch how a newsroom works and to see how and who they select for what sort of stories and to commentate on. But yeah, it was really interesting reading through that thread and how they do book people and vet people. I don't know if we've seen anything like that in New Zealand that I can think top of my head to that maybe extreme, but I can imagine it's probably a bit harder in a place like America, to be able to properly vet all these people. But it is an interesting and challenging one. And unfortunately, it probably does happen a fair bit, though, where someone is booked on to talk to an issue because producers or reporters know that they're going to give a really, really strong sort of opinion against or for whatever that angle is.
Which is so funny because so often these conversations, the truth is in the nuanced area. But in media, we go black, white.
Yeah,
wet, dry. It's like moist, whatever. It's somewhere in between is where you find the truth. It's the wrong word. I don't know why.
Tune in next week where we dig into the wet, dry issue.
I should have stuck with the black, white and said grey. That feels far more comfortable. But, hey, Cherie, it's been so much fun having you tonight. Thanks for coming on and saying g'day.
Thank you. It was awesome. Really enjoyed chatting with you guys.
Yeah, and all the best. Let us know what you get up to and what you're doing, and we'd love to have you back if you want to come back on. And no, people, it's not tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Just to make that very clear again.
It would have been a really nice way to do it, but yeah.
Somebody said that this did sound like a job interview.
Well, I hope it did well then. But thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
And we appreciate you heaps. Thanks for coming on.
See ya.
Thank you.